Welcome everybody. We're absolutely delighted to have Sean Taaffe here and his team.
Hello, are we on?
Hi. We are. Welcome all. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're absolutely thrilled to have Sean Taaffe here and two of his amazing team to share all the insider info on hair. As you can see today, myself, I'm here with full roots and naturally dried. So I'm coming in as clueless person to the team. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Sean. He's going to take the reins. I'm going to disappear for a while, but I'll pop back in later on to answer, well, to read out your questions. And so Sean, over to you.
Thanks, Elaine. Thanks a million. Hi, everybody. First of all, a big thank you to Kerry Business Women's Network for having us on. Just a little word about it. The network for us has been invaluable. The Sean Taaffe company, our other director, Cara O'Shea, has been a member for a number of years and uses the network all the time. So a big thank you to them. For everybody that's watching, I just want to introduce the panel as I see it. So the lady to the left of my screen, I'm not too sure about yours, with the dark hair is Sarah Fitzgerald.
Hi everyone.
She's a master colour specialist with our group, and unfortunately for her, has been stuck working with me since she left school, and
we haven't killed each other yet anyway.
That's right. How long are you with us now?
14
Sarah?
years now in October.
14 years, my God. Huh?
Yep.
Sarah's going to be answering your colour questions as they come along. And the other lady with the blonde hair that you'll see there is Kimberley Walker. She's a style director in our Killorglin branch. And she's going to be well, first of all, she has a video that she's we're going to be playing. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So if you just want to say hi, Kimberley.
Hi, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
So I suppose a quick a minute speech about where we are in the industry at the moment. So as you're probably aware, we are supposedly reopening on July 20th. Obviously, as salon owners and hairdressers across the county, we want to get back to work as soon as is possible, but also as soon as it's safe to do so. You might have seen some media coverage in the last week or so where, you know, I suppose the message was we want to get back no matter what, because, you know, there's, you know, people need to get their hair done and, you know, whatever. I suppose our message as a salon group, and also my message as president of the Irish Hairdressing Council, is that we want to get back to work and look after all of you lovely clients, but we want to do so in a way that's as safe as possible for you as clients to come in and feel safe, and also that the team can be safe as well. So, you know, whilst we want to try and get back as soon as possible, and if that's allowed before July the 20th, we will welcome it with open arms. But if it is to be July 20th, then, you know, once it's safe to do so, then, you know, that's the way it's going to be. The layout for this morning is we have a poll that's going to go up in a couple of minutes. Ellen's going to pop that up, and it's just in two questions. Just basically, what is your main hair care issue? As in, is it cutting? Is it color? And I think the second one is, you know, are you going to be able to wait for us or not? I suppose that's the burning question. Up until recently, up until was it Friday week? I don't even know what days I have now, but up until then, you know, we were fully kind of suggesting that people should try and wait in terms of color, etc., and try and use temporary solutions. Whereas the announcement, was it last Friday or whenever it was, that it could possibly be another 10 weeks, kind of leads us to think that, you know, a lot of people won't be able to wait. And I guess that's why we're doing the webinar today, to try and kind of give people some advice. So if you get a second, you might be able to, if Elin is there, would you be able to put up the poll there for everybody to just tick? So what is your main hair care related? So is it cut, is it color? And do you think you're going to be able to last until the salons reopen? Now, there's multiple answers in terms of, you know, when salons reopen. Yes, I'm going to wait it out. No chance. Have you seen my roots? This is my first time seeing this poll, guys. Not sure. I hope you'll help me decide what to do. And I've already caved and colored my hair. So once we kind of get the results of that, it will probably determine the direction in which we take today's webinar. I guess just a couple of things before I kind of hand over maybe to one of the other panelists. Just, you know, I don't think there should be any shame here. There seems to be a lot of judgment online, you know, of people that either are doing their color at home or aren't, and so on and so forth. You know, everybody's choices are their own. And, you know, I suppose the purpose of today is not to cast any judgment, but only to help. We're not encouraging home hair. We're not discouraging. We want you to look as well as possible, you know, and help you to do that. Sarah, do you want to just talk to us? Just looking at the poll results, color obviously is you know, the biggest one. So roots are the big issue. Can we get to the root of the problem? Can we maybe talk a little bit first of all about the people, you know, who possibly may get away with home coloring and who absolutely won't?
Yeah, I suppose for us, like, we really want you to look your best during this hard time. I suppose it's an advantage if you are a little bit darker hair colored and you don't have grey. So in the circumstances, hopefully it will be able to wait it out and use this time to condition your hair, get it into the best it has been, use a mask once a week, that kind of thing. Now for blondes with roots showing, that's kind of a different scenario because it's not going to be able. We really are discouraging home coloring on blonde hair because it's just so much hassle. Like your darker roots definitely are going to look a lot better than a home color trying to make them blonde. So I suppose what we're kind of saying in this is if you could use your temporary sprays, parting your hair to the other side will work, getting a little bit more volume into the roots will disguise them, braiding your hair, all that sort of thing is going to help with that. There is some nice Moroccan oil masks as well if your colour is tending to go a little bit brassy, that at least if we cannot help with the roots, that the ends will still look nice and conditioned, that they look a little bit more toned, that kind of thing. So there is ways to keep your blonde nice and blonde and nice and fresh, even though the roots are going to be a little bit darker. But
what I might just do and just kind of maybe, I suppose, clarify that a little bit. If you're unsure as to what level you're sitting at, if you think about, you know, a golden sandy beach, okay, if your hair color is lighter than that, I would be saying absolutely forget trying to do anything at home, because blondes, even in salon, ladies, are difficult, you know, and there's so many variables, from condition shall we say, to the product that you're using, the timing that it's left on. There's just too many variables to go wrong. And as I say, we're not taking the high moral ground here, because we're actually going to play a video in a moment about, if you are applying color, how to do it. So please don't think that we're trying to lecture as to not to do stuff. But after considering all options, the risk factors with blondes, because I don't know whether you realize it or not, that blonde hair, you know, if you have a head of highlights or whatever, you'll know how you get breakage in the ends. What happens is, if product is left on and through condition issues and so on and so forth, hair can just literally snap off. Right. So what we're saying is, you know, if you have tones lighter than a sandy beach, shall we say, then no coloring. But what I am going to do is I'm going to just hand over to Kimberley, who might just kind of go through a couple of options in terms of what you can do with your blonde hair up until you can actually get in salon. And I suppose my final word on it is, I would much rather see somebody with amazingly conditioned hair, you know, because we have time to do that now with some roots, than to have hair fried with orange roots. It's a much harder fix as well. Kimberley, do you want to kind of come in on that?
Sure. I think the first thing you want to do with blondes, because we're not coloring the blondes, would be to concentrate on volume. Volume hides it a lot. As you can see with me, I've got my roots, but there's different techniques you can use. So for me, there's me with no volume. With your wet hair, you part it in the middle, and when it dries, it gives you a lot of volume if you're just flipping it over. So that would be my number one go-to with volume. Obviously, as I'm saying, the volume is lifting your hair, it's hiding the regrowth as much as possible. Another one would be zigzag instead of just a line, because then you're going to start breaking it, so it's not just a line, a solid line that you're seeing. Another one would be to get a nice bouncy volume, the dry shampoo. Roots to ends, pop it up in a bun, go to sleep, and take it down the next morning. You're going to have a lot of volume bounciness in your hair, which is very nice to see as well. Back combing works, pop a Velcro roller in. If you're going to be blow drying your hair for volume, you want to kind of lift your roots up while you're drying it like this. Pull it all forward, or chuck your head over and just dry it upside down. That's going to give you a whole lot of volume as well. And then you just want to smooth your roots. So always kind of put the hair downwards on your hair. That's giving your cuticles a little bit more shine. I don't know if we want to go to playing the video now, or anyone wants to speak on anything else.
Yeah.
Just hair bands as well. Thicker hair bands works really well, especially when you're hiding the dark roots. And just from looking online, I know H&M and Claire's Accessories do really nice ones as well, and they're nice and thick. So you will, even if you had a low braid at the back and put the hair, pop on the hair bands, they're looking really well at the moment as well.
Or as a client of mine, when I was out walking this morning, I met her cycling, and she had a cycling helmet on, and she said, "This is brilliant. It hides my roots completely." But no, on a serious note,
Sales on cycling helmets will soar now.
Yeah. That's it. But no, I mean, you know, now is the time. We have, the one thing we have now is more time, and that means more time to condition, more time to experiment. And, you know, let's use that. You know, that's the one thing we don't normally have is time. You know, what we might do now is queue up the Kimberley's video. So basically what she's saying as an intro to this is, you know, if you have, you know, when I say reasonably dark hair, if your hair is a brown, shall we say, you know, this technique is going to be perfect, because I suppose the key message here is not to be coloring anything more than you have to. You know, obviously, if you have very short hair, you might have to do the whole thing. But Kimberley's video kind of focuses in on, you know, if you've bob length or below, the message being to try and color as little as you actually have to. So what we're going to do is we're going to play that video, and then Elaine is going to come back to us with some questions after that. Okay.
Everyone, today I want to talk about your root color. I never thought I'd be doing this video, but I don't think anyone saw this coming. It should not be giving you grief. It should not be adding to the stress and anxiety that so much is going on right now. So what I'm going to try to do today is, this is if you can't hold out. I'm telling you, hold out, because box color, we don't want to go there. Box color is not our friend. So what I'm going to try to teach you is to try just apply it to the roots and to the places that we see, just to hold you out until we can get you back into the salon. And as well, it's not to give you grief. Like, your roots, they're such a small thing. What's going on now, your health is the main thing. So if it's going to make you give that little bit more of a joy, get you through a few more weeks, do it. We can fix it. We can fix it. It's not the end of the world. I'm going to use conditioner today. Get yourself a bowl. I got this at the pharmacy, so you can just get that for yourself. So you want to just kind of do your parting, the things you're going to see. Every color that goes and overlaps onto the color that was done in the salon will be blotchy. So we want to get as little color onto your colored hair already as possible. So we want to just want to do the regrowth. We don't need to do the rest of the hair. The more hair that goes on, the more we're going to have to try and get that out to do it again. Okay, so let's start off. I want to do your partings. You're over here, and then possibly at the back over here. So if you want to tie up your hair, it's not going to give you too much grief. All right, so you want to go to where your parting is over there, to your ear. Okay, put that one away. And do the other side. To the parting, to the ear. This is for colored hair, guys. Please, blondes, it's a whole different story. Blondes, we are taking color out. So you don't know what it's lifting to, and they don't care about your condition at all. They're just caring about lifting it out, getting that blonde. Your hair may snap off immediately, it may snap off in a week's time, but that we can't fix in the salon. So please try hold out if you're a blonde. Okay, let's just do the back over here, get it out of our way. Okay, so I'll just try to turn so you can see that. All right, so I'm going to take the color. Don't mix it in. We're not baking here, so we want to keep the brush nice and clean. So we're going to just get it onto the, doing here. If you've got a line over there, you want to only apply to that line. We don't want to go any further than that. All right, if you do, again, it's not the end of the world. When we're back in the salon, we can fix it, okay? Okay. So let's start off with just kind of doing your outline, like a puzzle. Okay, I'm going to do the next one. Hey, if you've got a friend, got a husband living with you, get them to help you out. It's going to be a whole lot easier if you don't have to do it yourself. Okay, so we don't have to go all the way down. We just want to kind of get the top area, so we're not going to see the regrowth. It's all about just seeing. All that other stuff we can fix when we're back into the salon, so just leave that for now. We don't need to go there. Okay, and while this is down as well, I want to just kind of apply it to the back of the hair here. When the hair's tied up. So that's all we need to do, guys. That'll get you going. It'll get you another few weeks until we can get you back into the salon, get things all up and running again. As I said, box color is not our friend. We don't like it because all it's concerned about is getting that color in. The peroxide levels are way higher than anything that we would have done in the salon for you, because we look at your color. You're going to see a lot more fade from it, but hey, that's all tomorrow's problems. Let's just get through this quarantine. Let's get through this together. If this helped you that a little bit to just make you feel a little bit better, fantastic. As well as I want you guys to do this so that we don't have to fix up too much in the salon when we get back to business. If you guys ever have any questions, just let me know. Hope you all do.
That's great. Thank you, Kimberly, for that. Eileen, have you got some questions for us?
Well, we'd like to get people to actually start in and put their questions into the Q&A at the bottom. So I guess if you guys want to continue, and then what I can do is once people have started popping their questions in there, I can read them out for you.
Should I give some cool styling tricks?
Do.
I'm breaking up there, guys, a little bit. So can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
I was just saying, if people want to pop their questions into the Q&A at the bottom there's a section for you to put your questions and answers in, and once they start coming in, when we have a few in there, I can read them out. So if you guys want to continue on.
My apologies, Eileen. Yeah, I should have said that to ask people to put in any questions. So, guys, have you any thoughts on colour that we haven't mentioned before we actually address any Q&As? We can keep the Q&As towards the end. I guess the one thing I would say is if people are using box colour at home, just to make sure to skin test. Okay, it's really, really important. That's why salons, if you haven't been to a salon before, or if you're changing salons or whatever, they will always skin test, because a lot of people will say, "But sure, I'm coloring my hair with years. Why would I need a skin test?" But it's actually proven that the more frequently you color your hair, the more likely you are in your lifetime to hit what's called reaction point. So in simple terms, the person coloring their hair for the first time is going to be less likely to have a reaction than the person coloring their hair for the 1000th time. So it's just really, really important, because reactions can be quite kind of nasty. And that's nothing against box colors. That can be the same in salon. And that's why we insist on skin testing. Anything to add there, Sarah and Kimberly?
Yeah, like I suppose another thing that would be quite important is if you are colouring your hair at home, stick with kind of what you're familiar with. I don't think this is the right time to be going for a big colour change and going mad with the colour, because like you say, if you're sticking to kind of what you are, you have a better chance of things going right, you know. So just, and like Kimberly has been saying as well, to just do what needs to be done. Really, even if you don't touch the back, just stay with around your hairline and your parting where the grey is coming through or where the roots are showing. I think that would be just the best option, and even around the back there, the nape of the neck as well, where you'll be tying it up. But definitely, I don't think it will be the time to go for the colour changes at the moment.
Please, blondes, no. I don't want to be coming back and having to pull that colour off. I think one thing for blondes though is just purple shampoo. You know, it'll just kind of clean it up, remove too much warmth in your hair. That's your go-to with blondes. I'm sure most already had the purple shampoo, so just keep at it.
Yeah, I guess either the purple shampoos or an occasional clarifying shampoo. It would be great to get out any kind of impurities from the water or styling products.
Or even the dry shampoo as well for the darker roots. You know, it can't get rid of them, but it definitely will disguise them. Now, don't go mad with that either, but like if you have something, you know, that you have to go to or whatever, just, it definitely does help.
Any product is more.
I'm just going down through the questions here as I see them, and it's saying, what about natural color like nature tint and henna blonde? I am blonde and the roots are a disaster. Thanks for all the great tips on dealing with roots. That's from Miriam. Thanks, Miriam. I'll answer one part of that and hand over to the guys for the rest. One thing that's very, very important to realize, there's something quite unique about henna. Henna is probably the oldest hair coloring system in the world. The ancient Egyptians used to use it, and it's a thing called compound henna. It's like a powder form, and it's mixed with hot water. Now the problem with it, and again, it's not that we're against it, but it's called a metallic dye, and the issue with this is that it's incompatible with every other hair color on the planet, as in, shall we say, box color, hair, salon color, any color. And the reaction can be quite severe. When the two come into contact, the hair can steam, sizzle, and snap. So whilst I would say, you know, in theory, you know, something natural might be the best route, I suppose the comparison would be, you know, this, I think heroin comes from the poppy flower, doesn't mean it's good for you. in terms of, you know, I don't have an issue with like a henna conditioning treatment and so on and so forth, but I would really caution against using compound henna. Plus the fact the actual end result is a kind of a reddy kind of a tone as opposed to blonde. Will I hand over to you there, Sarah, for a comment on that?
Yeah, like that as well. I suppose with the hennas, like Sean was saying, they just aren't really, like, you wouldn't really want to be going there, I don't think, to be honest. Also, just Michelle has messaged in there, and Michelle, you're wondering about doing your roots with a box color. Is there any brand? Unfortunately, because we don't work with any brands like that, we can't recommend anything. But just, I would say, you're saying you are a brunette, but I would say go a shade lighter than what you are, because what I do know about box colors is they do tend to go a lot darker. So even though I can't recommend a brand, I can just tell you to err on the side of caution and stay lighter with your color, and like that, keep it to the roots. If possible, don't be bringing it onto those ends, because they do cause a build up, the home colors as well. So if you just stick with the roots and do what you need to do. Also, Margaret, you're wondering about a hair mask that would be best to use. If you could just specify what kind of hair you have, like, are you blonde? Is it thick hair, dry? You know, just so that we know the best product to recommend for you when you're messaging in about products. Just if you could give us a little bit of an insight as to what kind of hair you have and what the condition is or whatever.
I might jump in there for a second as well. Just something that may be of interest to viewers in terms of condition. What an awful lot of people don't understand, and actually even some hairdressers don't really get it, is that condition is broken down into two things. It's broken down into moisture and repair, okay? And sometimes hair needs one, sometimes hair needs the other, and sometimes hair needs both, right? And a lot of people will always gravitate to one or the other. But in general terms, if you have thick, coarse, wavy, naturally kind of dry hair, I would say it's like, that's naturally thirsty. You need moisture. Blonde, or you color a lot, or you know, use the irons a lot, you know, you're going to have more of a tendency to be chemically dry. So therefore you would need a repair. And I suppose the truth being that most people's hair needs a little bit of both. So it's not even a case of one size kind of fits all. And again, the guys will come in and, you know, either back me up or contradict me on this, but I think we're in agreement that, you know, in an ideal world, say for somebody with long hair that has color and is, you know, say naturally wavy and naturally dry, then you should almost be using a moisture and then maybe every third an element of repair in a conditioner, you know, not using just the one kind of product. And again, that's not to kind of, you know, be pushing one product over another, but that's just in general terms. What do you think, Kimberley?
I would say pretty much the same as what you're saying, except the kind of, when your hair is damaged, be on damage, but it don't stay on damage, because your hair, obviously what it's doing is repairing it. So I guess the point of repair, then you move on to something which isn't as based in repair. You're kind of heading towards the angle of more moisture and stuff, but it still has the aspect of that. So, and there's a whole lot of ranges of different products, especially for those kind of different ranges where your hair is at that point.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, what I would say is, and you know, we're on here in doing a general chat. We're not on here specifically to push our brand. What I would say is your hairdresser, whoever that may be, will always be the person that will know best. But in terms of, you know, if you're not able to contact them and you need to get a product, just think what is your primary reason? You know, are you, you know, looking in the mirror and, you know, does it look, you know, and fall into the thirsty category, or does it fall into, oh my God, it's fried, you know, in which case it's repair. Have we any more?
Yeah, there's Michelle has come back just to clarify there for the mask request, was that she has light brown curly hair with blonde highlights for that hair mask. I think Sarah, you were answering that one.
Yes. So what I would say, Margaret, is if your hair isn't overly dry, if it's not in very bad condition, if you're just looking for something to give it a little bit of oomph, I would go with the illuminating in the Alpha Perf. It's a really nice mask that doesn't weigh the hair down. Now, if it's a thing that your hair is chemically dried from the blonde highlights, I would be looking at something a little bit stronger. Like I say, we're only answering what we know from our ranges that we do, like, as well. So if it is that little bit drier from the highlights, you'll be looking at the K-Pack. They do a really good treatment as well. It's the Intense Hydrator. So either one of those as well, depending on whether it is really dry from the highlights or just you're trying to get it into nice condition. The Alpha Perf Illuminating, I can type that answer there for you just so you'll have them as well, if you don't be able to take them down while I'm talking.
Just to come in on that, actually, what Sarah said about the Joico K-Pack range, you know, whether it's...
Sean, you're breaking up a little bit.
Just to look it up, the K-Pack, Joico K-Pack has won best reconditioning product on a website called Behind the Chair, which is the largest hairdressing website in the world for professionals. It has you know, a number of million subscribers, so it's a serious product range if you are in that category for repair. I see Maureen asking there, do we post out products at the moment with the client covering postage, of course. This is what's written. Maureen, yes, all our products are available on www.seantaaffe.com. And everything is there. But again, in the same way, you know, I'm very conscious that some of our viewers may not be salon clients. I would say contact your hairdresser. If you have a contact number, I'm sure they would be happy to do the same and post out products. So I'm very aware that, you know, it's a general hairdressing conversation today. It's not just pushing our brands. Another question that came up there was about coconut oil for conditioning. Is it too heavy? I think, you know, again, I'll defer over to Kimberley in a second, but my thinking on this would be, you know, for some hair, it might be fine, but if you have fine hair, definitely it's going to be too heavy. What say you, Kimberley?
Exactly the same as you. I've actually seen on mummy groups where they've spent hours and hours with their daughter putting coconut oil in their hair, and they're using dish soap and they're using anything to get it out. So it works well for some people who have that very frizzy, dry hair. Then obviously stay away from the roots. Your roots don't need moisture. You naturally are letting go of the moisture and the sebum to moisturize your roots. If you've got fine hair, don't go near too much heaviness. It's all heavy, so it would stay with the dense population here.
Okay, guys. So what I'm conscious, obviously, of time here. So what I am going to do is I'm going to just hand over to Kimberley and Sarah just for a second, because the next part of our session is that I'm just going to quickly and basically go through actually trimming either your fringe or a child's fringe or whatever. We're doing 2 fringes here today, which again we're doing it in a very basic capacity, and I'm teaching it from a point of view of non-hairdressers. So if there is any hairdressers kind of watching, you know, we're keeping it very, very simple and less sectioning and less messing around, so that we don't stress people out. So if you guys want to take the reins for a second, and I'll just get set up.
Yeah, I'm just going to answer to Kerry there. Hi Kerry, how are you getting on? I miss you. So just in relation to your hair mask, I would be saying, like, because your hair is so thick and curly, use this time to get the moisture back into it. So even the moisture recovery, they do a really nice mask. You could leave that on for half an hour, you know, depending. And even with your hair, because I know how curly it is, even if you wanted to, after washing your hair, scrunch that mask into it, just so that it would kind of keep your curl in place and stop it from going too frizzy. Also, with your cut, I'm sure you've done a really good job on your signature fringe. And like that with the colour, sure, see how you go. If you can stick it out, do. If not, I would just err on the side of caution and stay that little bit lighter than normal, and not to attempt your lovely highlights. Just stick with the all over colour for now. So I hope that answers that for you, Kerry.
I can't see the questions, so if you just read them out and we can have a discussion about them.
I think we have all the colour questions in at the moment, actually, Kimberley. Though I know that there's one that I would have from my own mum, who would have, her hair is grey essentially at this stage, well, completely grey, but she would have lots of blonde highlights. So she has like a, you know, like a grey band of regrowth at present. Should she use a root touch-up, or what should she do? Like, the colour is, she's essentially very pale, a light grey essentially on the roots.
So how blonde is she?
She would be quite blonde now with the highlights that would be in. She got, I think, a mixture of lowlights and highlights in there.
I would stay away.
Stay away from the colour.
What do you say, Sarah?
Yeah, I wouldn't be attempting it, to be honest, especially when she goes for highlights, and she probably likes that look that's blending, that her colour is blending in with her own regrowth. No, I would be steering clear of that, definitely.
The possibility though is when you are going darker, putting colour in, you're putting colour in, whereas blonde, you're taking colour out. So now you're going to go put it on the roots, but you're not going to be putting it in foils like we would have done to get that effect. And as well as if then you had just put it onto the roots, the rest of the hair is now going to be weaved half with a different colour, as well as if that colour, the blonde, goes onto any blonde previously, it's going to be over processed, so it's just going to snap.
Right. Okay. Stay away from.
Just answering June there as well, for the temporary spray for the root colour. So I suppose just from what we know, the ones we do would be the Jaico tint shot. They work quite well. And the Colour Wow, that's more of a powder that you apply like an eyeshadow with a brush. So whichever you feel more comfortable doing. Now I know there is different alternatives to them, but like I say, just from the products that we work with, it would be the Colour Wow and the Jaico tint shot.
The Colour Wow Dream Filter as well for blondes very well. I used it on my hair. Just kind of pulls out the brassiness and the warmth.
Okay, guys, what I might do is just switch over to the other one there now. 2 seconds. Okay, so for the budding hairdressers in you, we've got a couple of pieces of equipment. One comb, one scissors, okay. I would say a nail scissors more so than your kitchen scissors. And I just have a couple of sectioning clips, butterfly clamps, whatever you have, okay. So we're doing 2 fringes here, and again, we're doing them quite quickly. One on short hair. For example, if your fringe has got to about this length now, which is approximately where it would be since lockdown, and if you wear your hair, for example, over to one side, what I would say is brush it over to the wrong side, okay? And what you're doing is just holding the hair, and rather than just going along and cutting this way, because this creates a very sharp kind of line, what we're advising is just to nibble into the hair. And a couple of things about how you hold the scissors. In hairdressing, we hold the scissors with our 3rd finger, not with the 2nd or the 1st, okay? It just gives us a little bit more control, okay? And when you're actually cutting this section, when you close the blades, you pull back, okay? And it just gives a slightly softer kind of finish. This will give you a kind of a slightly asymmetric feel. So again, we're going over to the wrong side. And then we brush back the other way. You can see we now have a nice kind of angle there. And then you can just comb the hair down, keep the fingers slightly tilted, and carry on kind of from there. Usually a good guide would be around the bridge of the nose for adults, because again, what we have to bear in mind is that the hair jumps up when it's styled. So again, just chipping here and retracting the blade. Okay, so that's going to give you a much kind of more softer type of feel. Obviously, you can go as short as you wish, but again, just be careful. If you go above the bridge of the nose, you could be in for a nasty surprise once you wash the hair. So that's just say one for adults. Now, for the children, okay, this may be what they look like without the peach. Okay, what I would say is comb the hair down, see where it's inclined to sit. In other words, you know, let it go, what we say in hairdressing, natural fall. Okay, then just take a moment to section out. Okay, so what you're going to be looking at is where does the fringe finish. Okay, just spin it around there for you. You can kind of see where the hair kind of separates here. Okay, so what you want to do is just tidy that up, see where the fringe ends, and anything that you're not going to be cutting, eliminate out of the way. It's less risk. And we do the same on the opposite side. Now, again, if I was teaching hairdressers, I'd be saying you have to make sure your sections are even and so on and so forth. But really all we're worried about here is what's hanging down into the child's eyes and how do we get rid of it, okay? So we now have our section that we're looking at, okay? So taking a section of hair, and again, using the principle that we used earlier on, we're just cutting up in tiny little V's, first of all, just to eliminate the extra length and give us an idea as to how the hair is going to bounce and sit. Now there's a few different types of fringes you can do. You can do curved fringes, straight fringes, bold fringes, but let's keep it simple today, ladies. So once you have it cut, first of all, you can see how the hair is inclined to jump, and then you can go back in. So for children, what I would say, we were speaking with adults about the bridge of the nose. I would be saying probably around below the eyebrow to allow for it to jump, okay? So again, just to repeat so everyone can see. I would be inclined to take less rather than more, because as soon as you wash the hair, it's going to jump up. You can always repeat like I'm repeating here. And just by avoiding that straight line, it's going to be less likely to turn out a disaster. Use small sections and nibble at the hair rather than taking big chunks. Am I blocking the view there? I'm very lucky to have my partner, who's also a hairdresser. Elise is behind the camera, so she's the camera woman today. Possibly have a band-aid ready for your first attempt. And hopefully it will be your blood and not the child's. Once that's done, guys, shampoo the hair and dry it off and see how it looks. And again, obviously you can bring it up accordingly from there if you want to go kind of shorter. All right, so we'll go back to the Q&A now, and hopefully that might just help people on the way a little.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sean. I'm going to pop in here a question, I guess, for Sarah or Kimberley, whichever one would like to answer. Any tips for letting natural colour grow out, taking advantage of the time at home in long hair? This is from Suzanne. She said, no bleach since July and had roots done in November, and she's been on maternity leave, so she's not being lazy.
I would say your go-to is a zigzag parting, kind of breaking the line.
Will I come in on that a little bit? Can I come in there for a second?
Yeah, work away.
Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit of feedback there. 2 seconds. Sorry, guys. I had the other phone was giving me feedback. So, in terms of growing out grey hair, I think this is something that over the last 12 months people have really kind of embraced. For me, again, I would have a lot of clients that have done this, and I would say be strategic about it. Obviously, we're in lockdown now, but for example, you know, if you are colouring just to get over the hump, use Kimberley's video and actually just do the visible areas. Anything that's not seen, you can actually grow out quite successfully. And I mean, this is a great time to be able to do that. And I suppose the one thing that I would say is grey hair tends to look coarser. So it's really, really important that you condition and make it look as healthy and as shiny as possible. Have you anything to add there, Sarah? Kimberley?
I think condition is very important. It's looking after yourself, your skin. Put masks on your face, put masks on your hair. It's going to make you feel better. So it's the easiest to go to.
And you can always take this time as well, you know, to give your hair a break from straighteners, hair dryers, all that heat related stuff. So like, even though this is such a horrible time for everybody, hopefully when we come through this, we will be seeing hair that has never been in better condition, giving it a break from all the heat. Like braiding at the moment is so in as well, like even pop in a braid before you go to bed, take it out in the morning, your hair looks so styled. Actually, Leah, come here a second.
What I might do while Sarah's prepping
Like,
there for a second
even
is
from braiding this and leaving it overnight, you've got such a really nice wave through that. And the thing about it is, it lasts for days. You don't need to be using your dryers, your straighteners, anything like that at the moment, if you can. You know, so just to give the hair a break from the heat as well would be really good for it. Thank you, darling.
that looks amazing, Sarah. Lovely.
You have to practice on someone, Sean.
I know. I might just get up on my soapbox for 2 seconds, actually. In my opinion, over the last couple of years, social media has had a huge effect, but a very kind of negative effect in some ways on people's style. And I'll just explain. So in my vintage, I'm 46 in July. If I went out as a 17 or 18-year-old with a disastrous outfit and a disastrous hairdo, I would get slagged off for a day or two, possibly a week, and that would be it. Whereas now, because of social media, people can be reminded of this fashion faux pas for the next kind of 10 years. And what I feel is that after happening is it stifles people's creativity. And everybody is walking around like clones of each other. If I had to report a crime in anybody under 25, the chances are the description would actually be the same for nearly everybody. And one thing that I do think lockdown is going to do, and I really hope so, is that I think people are going to be a little bit more, to hell with it, let's go, let's do this, let's experiment, let's do the change that I've been banging on about for ages. And I think if there is something from a creative point of view that can come out of it, I do think, hair is hair, it's going to grow. Let's, embrace the change. And, if you are thinking about doing something different, go for it.
But also when we come back, we're going to have the length to play with. We're going to have all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be great for everyone who wants a good change, because there's a lot of people who want change, but they never give themselves a break to be able to get there. So it was forced.
Also, there's a lot of people who have been thinking about growing their hair, but always was afraid, oh, I'll never manage it in that awkward phase, I'll never get through it. So now is the time. We might even have an awful lot of people coming back to us that are never again going to cut their hair short. They're going to stick with their long locks. So,
might want to cut it all off.
Maybe.
See their true color again. Have some true color back into your hair.
Aileen, have you anything for us there?
Yeah, I just think that, well, my sound is working there. Hopefully you can all hear me. That ultimately, well, I totally agree with everything you're saying, and I'm of the same vintage as you, Sean, on the on in terms of what people are like and in terms of experimenting. I think my burning question at the moment is, with the backlog, we'll say, obviously, for hairdressers who would have had to cancel appointments for people, and then say if you didn't have an appointment that was then cancelled, what do you think the backlog is going to be for actually say yes when you guys do open up, hopefully sooner rather than later, maybe sooner than they're estimating? What do you think you'd be waiting, or do you have any idea at this stage?
Okay, so that's an absolutely excellent question, right? And I'll answer it as best as I can. I was actually on a Zoom literally just before this with a UK grouping of salons and discussing the same thing. So I'll break that question. I'm conscious, I know we're running close to the end, that question into a couple of different parts. The way we're operating, as you've identified, is that anyone that has had a cancelled appointment will be contacted and put in kind of first, right? But for the people that are kind of, as you said, oh my God, if I don't have an appointment, where do we stand? We've identified that we have approximately 800 clients to reschedule, right? Which sounds like a huge amount, but bear in mind that across our branches during summertime, in other words, at normal capacity, we would normally process between 800 and 1,000 clients a week anyway. Wow. Okay, so what we're saying is, depending on the capacity restrictions, now when I say that, I'm not talking about our floor capacity, because we have that pretty much sorted out. But if there's any capacity restrictions in terms of the percentage of staff allowed on, etc., but if everything is as we would hope it would be, we would be hoping within our group to clear any backlog within a week. So that, you know, it's not going to be, you know, a case of, oh, it's going to be a month before we can even look at people and so on and so forth.
Okay, that's brilliant.
So obviously, each salon is going to have their own. And when I say each salon, I'm talking about not our group, but every hairdressing business will have their own plan. I know some people are doing priority waiting lists. Some people are doing, you know, deposits and stuff. And for me, I just feel that's not fair, because if you're not on social media, or if you don't have the financial wherewithal to be able to send a deposit, I don't know. I just think, for me, the fairest thing is, you know, anyone with cancelled appointments, get them sorted, and then we open it up properly and fairly, without prioritizing with fear or favor to anybody, so everybody is equal. And I just think that's the fairest way.
Well, that's great news for me, because I was in the process of changing hairdressers, so I can book in and not think it's going to be an extra month on top of the waiting time.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've our consultation already done, so
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, actually, on that note, what we're you know, looking at is, and again, I'm only speaking for our own group now, is the possibility again of doing the likes of these Zoom consultations or telephone consultations, because if there is restrictions, believe it or not, the most, I suppose, dangerous part of the experience, if there is one, is actually the consultation, because we're sat down face to face having a chat, whereas the rest of the time we're behind the client. So it's, you know, the more we can do off-site, the better. So we're certainly looking at that as an option, but do realize that for an awful lot of clients, they may not be familiar, and it might just be a telephone conversation then.
At least we have a better idea of what we're going to be doing, so that cuts a whole lot of time out.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you all so much. Absolutely fantastic. And listen, for everybody that's there, thank you for joining us. This is being recorded, so you'll all get a copy of this in an email later on today, and we'll be posting on our website, kbn.ie, and onto all our various social media channels. And I know, Sean, that you guys will be sending you on the link to, and the video, so you can pop it up.
Yes, we'll be putting it across all media channels. And again, you know, a huge thank you to KBN for having us. And it's a massive endorsement from us at Sean Taaffe Group as well. As I said at the very outset, we're big fans, and I know Cara O'Shea is a huge fan of Kerry Businesswomen's Network, and you know, you've been a huge asset to Kerry, and a great support system and network. And thanks for having us.
Well, thank you very much for the shout out. That's fantastic. And, you know, we're here essentially to connect women all over Kerry, regardless of what it's about. For us, we represent all working women in Kerry, whether you're a business owner or you're working at home, or you're working looking after your kids. So really, it's pretty much every woman is covered, from school leavers. We have members now who are actually in 6th year in school, and are thinking of starting businesses, which is kind of terrifying in a wonderful way.
Yeah.
So, and right up to retirement, a lot of women who actually have gone into retirement, we're calling them back into the fold because it's their expertise which is so valuable for the rest of our members as well, and to share that expertise. So listen, again, huge thank you, Sean and Kimberley and Sarah, and I will be in contact. And listen, we can't wait to get back. And I saw all the work that you guys have done as well in terms of putting up your screens on Facebook there. The shots at the salons looks really impressive. So puts everyone's mind at ease for when we're all ready to get right back in there.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, look, the final word, I suppose, from me on that is that, we're making every effort to make sure that our environment is as safe as it is humanly possible to be for our clients and our staff. We want to make sure that everybody's experience is a relaxed one and not an anxiety-ridden one. So anything that we can do, we will do. And I would encourage everybody to stay in touch with your hairdresser, whether it's ourselves or who it is. It doesn't matter what hairdresser you're going to. You may be full sure that they are missing you as much as you are missing them.
Brilliant. Thank you all again, and we will look forward to seeing you all post-lockdown. And thank you everyone for joining us. And our next event, we don't have it live yet, but we'll be announcing it later this week. And so we'll hope to see you back here again in the next week or so. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.